and I'm an artist living in North Vancouver. Right now I'm in my studio, and it happens to be located in my parents' basement. So shout out to mom and dad for letting me create here. For this talk, I'm gonna give you guys just a short slideshow, but I thought I would just give you a tour of my studio first so you could see where I'm creating. So over here is just, I'll start with one of my side projects because it's closest to us, but there's some clothes me and a friend have been working on. I developed a logo that is sort of inspired by Comme des Garçons, the heart, but I've been working it into flowers and this snake. So this is kind of something in progress and just a bit of a side thing. And then over here is this life-size skeleton. This is a project I made, I think about a year ago. I traced my body, or I got a friend to, and then it's a double-sided paper that I've painted, and I've stitched together the outsides. And then inside of the skeleton, I have made these little drawings that are sort of symbols of emotions, just kind of delicate things that kind of came from inside of me. And it's pretty literal project. It's just like emotions that come from inside of the body. So yeah, moving on, this is some of my studio. And I'd like to show you guys one of my favorite pieces. It is just over here. I call this one Invite Them In for Tea. It's a pretty big drawing. So what I did with this one is I took the paper and I stained it in a bathtub full of tea. And then once I got the nice color that I wanted, I went in with ink and drew a bunch of these little demon cat things. And this one was inspired by a yoga teacher who said that when you have negative emotions, try to welcome them in rather than pushing them out. So I really like that. And then moving on, I just wanted to show you guys a process I sometimes use at home. If I don't have a light box to trace, then I have like the image I want to trace and then the paper on top, and then I'm able to just go over top of it like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my studio. I sometimes use this area down here to make clay, which is also one of my side projects. So yeah, I guess I will start to show you guys my slides. Here we go. Okay, Bruno, I think you need to enable me to share my screen.
Okay, I think, yep, okay.
Is it good?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So here we go. All right, so this is my logo and my name. I chose the font permanent marker because I often write with a permanent marker, and I just kind of like the look of the caps lock. And then this is to the side of it, the logo. I was kind of playing around with my clothes. So yeah. Okay, so I'll give you guys a bit of a history of my work. When I was very little, I would draw cats like all the time. For some reason, they only have 3 legs, which I'm not sure why, but apparently I would just draw cats and cats and cats. I didn't have a cat when I was younger, but eventually my mom got me a cat, and I'm still drawing cats. This is a drawing I did in 2018. It's of me and my cat Sammy. I really like the colors, well, the color yellow, as Bruno mentioned, and I like yellow and blue specifically together. I don't know why, I think they just complement each other quite nicely. And for this one, I used watercolor. I did a wash, which I usually do, use watercolors and do a series of washes, as you will see in my later work. To continue on about a little bit about my background is in high school, I was part of this group called Art Academy. It was a really cool program that two teachers taught, Corey Bogan and Dalen Lushinger. They were just very positive role models in high school, so I just wanted to thank them. Also, I wrote down Kanye West because in high school I very much liked Kanye, and I still do. But yeah, this here on the bottom left is like a transfer paper that I cut into, and then I'd use it as like a film to spray paint on and leave marks. And then yeah, after high school, I went to Montreal. I was studying art at Concordia University. At the time, I was staying in an old nunnery that was converted to a residence. So that was really cool. Montreal was just amazing for me to grow. I was there for 1 year, and oh, there's my friend. And I mostly concentrated on painting. So this was the first painting I did while I was there. It is 5 feet by 5 feet, and it's an oil painting. This project was a sort of like a self-portrait but deconstructed. So as you can see, there's this big blue ring, which is supposed to be my eye. And then in the eye, I have part of my corpse, a planet, my old wallet, and of course my lucky underwear. And they're just kind of floating in space. And I'm sorry for the resolution, but I left this piece to Montreal because it was too big. So that was the only picture I captured. And then this is my one of the other paintings I did in Montreal. I became more interested in abstract painting. This one is called Mind Games. Because at the time I was just very confused, and it was in a new city and lots going on, so my mind was kind of just everywhere. I actually I got this process by doing some collage. So I would draw some shapes, and then I would collage them together and then transferred it to this bigger piece. And then I actually sold this one. This was my first painting I sold, so I'm also happy about that. And yeah, then after a year in Montreal, I moved back to Vancouver, where I got accepted into Emily Carr University. And I was still sort of interested in painting. I took actually this really awesome class with Landon McKenzie, who is such an amazing painter. She does these giant pieces. And so this was a project in one of her classes. It started with a realistic still life on the left, And then over the 4 paintings, I slowly abstracted it until the final one on the left where it just looks like blobs. But these were kind of the last oil paintings I ever did, because I became more interested in drawing. As I said, I've always been very interested in drawing back since the cats, but I kind of more put more, I guess, like weight on my drawings and took them more seriously. So these two are like the composition is something I like. I like to bring together kind of random images in like a sort of a collage-y way. And then, so on the one on the left is more watercolors, and then the one on the right has I will use like a brush pen to do it. So yeah, I like both of the processes. I don't know which one I like better, so I usually just do both in my work. So yeah, this one is called Queensdale Brain Dump. It's a bit more spacious than the other ones, but I think it's kind of a similar idea with like this sort of like impossible space. We have my cat again, the tea I drink every morning in my favorite cup, and this thing that you get on Google when you don't have any internet. Yeah, Queensdale Brain Dump. So I wanted to show you guys these because this was like a big part of my work growing up. I did these drawings in my agenda in 2019, 2018, 2019. But if you knew me when I was younger, I would fill my agendas with drawings. And yeah, I think it's just kind of fun to draw on unusual surfaces. Just a teacher in art school taught me made me question why do we always draw on a blank white piece of paper. So this was just me exploring drawing on agenda pages. And then this is a current series that I've been working on. Apart from the murals right now, I've been in quarantine and had a lot of time to go on walks. I go on like a walk every day, sometimes two, and I'm lucky enough to live in North Vancouver, so I thought, why not draw it more often? So this is near my house, and then this one on the left is in the grocery store by my house. It's my favorite grocery store, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to draw it. And the one on the right, it's a smaller drawing, but I'm happy with how it turned out. This was from also a neighborhood walk that I took one night. And with the different colors of pens, I just did a lot of layers, and I really like how the pink shows up under the blue and the yellows kind of combine in sort of a weird way. So yeah. This drawing is one that I did while I was in Italy. It's from a sketchbook, and what I sometimes like to do is I always like to draw with pen, but if I draw with like very thick pen, then a lot of the times it will run through to the other page. So in this one, I was just making use of the transfer, and I think it just looks like it makes kind of cool colors that I maybe couldn't make if I was trying to. So just a little happy accident here that I think turned out nice. Okay, and then I will show you guys some of my journals before we get to the mural part. I write and draw in a journal pretty much every day. So apart from it being like, it's not like a huge practice, like stuff that I would usually share, but I guess I just wanted you guys to see like the day-to-day stuff. So yeah, I here have drawn me and my friend Hope, and then over here is just sort of like conversations I've had, and yeah, and I always draw with this one particular black pen. Um, and I think it's interesting just to mix writing with drawings. So here I've done that too. In these 2 pages, I'm talking about meetings I've had with other artists and just sort of like inspirational things that they've said that I wanted to record. This is a page from my sketchbook while I was traveling last year in Europe. I had to take a lot of buses to get around. So when I would be in the bus, I would always listen to music and just sort of like cover pages with doodles. And then here on the left is my attempt at poetry. I won't read it, but you guys can read it later if you want. And then, yeah, I'm showing you guys this page because it is also part of my journal. While I was in Berlin, I went to quite a few galleries, and when I was at one of the galleries, I got this really cool like pack of artist tarot cards, and on each card is like a famous artist, and then the artist has like an inspirational quote. So as you can see, this one is Andy Warhol, and he says, "Eat dessert before dinner, and wanting can be better than having sometimes." Um, I really liked this quote about wanting being better than having. It's just something I've never really considered, but I think that feeling of wanting is so strong, opposed to when you actually get the thing that you want, it can feel like just whatever, like, yeah. So I think maybe that's something I want to make more art about, but yeah, that's where that thought stemmed from. And I believe this is the last page of my journal, so I'm showing you guys. As I said before, I like to play with formatting words within an image. And I think this drawing on the left is pretty successful with that. I made this drawing while I was staying in a hostel in Kotor. It was a really cool hostel. The owner, I believe to be a pirate. He showed me pictures of his like uncle's boat that he sunk, and he was just a really cool guy. Like he thought that the hostel was infested with ghosts, so he said that's why he started renting it out, because he was scared to live alone. But it was a really nice hostel. I don't think there was any ghosts there, or maybe there were friendly ghosts. So these are 2 of my friends who I was living with last year as well. Before I traveled in Europe and did those drawings that I just showed you guys, I was also living in this small Quebec town for a month, and I was learning French, and that was just a really cool experience that I think helped shape my art as it is today. Like, even though I wasn't taking art classes necessarily, I was still drawing every day, and it wasn't like a very beautiful town, so I drew more like the people that I met. So this is Asta and this is Maddie. Okay, just kidding. This is the last journal page, but basically, yeah, just a big part of my practice is going for walks and then writing about it. I like to go for walks by myself, but I also like to go with my friends as well. Um, there's a really beautiful creek by my house. And then this was also after I had gotten back from Quebec, so I was practicing my French a little bit, but it's not that great. Okay, and then if you read the artist bio, it says that I would love to one day design graphic novels. And yeah, so here are two comics that I've done lately. They're just in a very, like, I guess you could say classic or like vintage style. Um, the one on the left is about a trip to Victoria me and a friend took earlier this year. Mm, it was just a little moment when we got onto a bus and we thought we got really good seats, but something smelt really bad all around us. And by the time we realized that, we couldn't move. So we were just stuck on this really long bus ride with something smelly. And yeah, so this is one style I've been working with for comics and graphic novel art and text kind of thing. And then this is another style that I was actually inspired by this artist, John McNaught. He has this really beautiful comic book called The Kingdom. And it's just a style that seemed kind of natural to me with my use of watercolors. So I'm happy how these turned out aesthetically, but they did take a lot more time than these, and I like this mode of telling a story better. But I don't know, I also enjoy this, so I'm kind of just figuring it out right now, like how to maybe combine the two or find just like the perfect medium to tell a story. Okay, and to end the talk, I would like to show you guys some of the murals that I've worked on. This mural is the first that I have done. It is a big butterfly, and basically I just drew it on Illustrator, and then I copied the lines onto a photo, like a thin photo transfer paper. And then it was really fun because one night we went and we just projected the butterfly onto the wall, and I traced the lines. Um, and then yeah, this was my first mural, and with the help of friends, it took about 2 months. But it was a really fun process. We would go in the morning and have coffee, and then sometimes stay until the sunset and have a couple beers and paint. And yeah, it was just a really fun opportunity to do. This one's located right by the Grand Boulevard. So if any of you guys are in North Van, you should go check it out. I will be adding to this one actually. On the left of it, the owner of the building wants me to put a text on it. So more will be to come on this one. And then probably the most popular piece that I've done is of Dr. Bonnie Henry. And compared to this butterfly one that took me 2 months, this one I did in a couple hours. So it was quite the all of a sudden project. My friend Brees painted this one to the left of me, Dr. Teresa Tam, and I believe her mural was the first to go up throughout this whole pandemic mural scene that just kind of blew up. But after Bree painted this one in a day also, she called me and asked if I would want to do a mural beside hers. And I was very stoked on that. So I said, sure. And the owner of the building asked if I could paint portraits. And I was like, yeah, sure, I could do that. So actually at the time, I had no idea who Bonnie Henry was. I just Googled an image of her and printed it out and then went to the wall, and I did this one pretty fast. I started here with just a very gestural painting, which is something that I like to do when I am painting, just to get like the marks and the flow and the composition. And then, yeah, added all the colors. At first, I was kind of like unsure about the color palette because I was just going with my gut and like the colors that I liked. And I was like, oh my gosh, does she look like kind of crazy? That was something I was worried about. But then once this whole mural thing kind of exploded, it was like really just awesome to see like all the variations in like very abstract forms and very fun colors that other artists took on too. So yeah, this one's on Powell Street, right on Hotel Europe, if you haven't seen it. So yeah, my last mural, or my most recent one, is called Introvert Season. This mural I got contacted to do just briefly after the Bonnie Henry mural. And I had a bit more time to plan this one out. My restrictions has to be something COVID related and something uplifting. So I was actually going to go with social harmony at first. This was a drawing that I did while I was in Brussels. It was actually like a tag somewhere on the street, and I couldn't find the artist who did it, but I really liked it, so I recorded it in my sketchbook. And that's sort of, I didn't go with social harmony, obviously, but I kind of took that text and made it into Introvert Season. So yeah, a little bit about this project. It was quite a bit different than the previous mural of Bonnie Henry. Again, this one was a lot taller. So my mom was with me most of the days. She was my professional ladder holder. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this project. I was happier with like the freedom that I had. And I had planned out the composition, but once also it started to go up, I added some things like the lines and some other text. And yeah, it was a really fun painting. For me, Introvert Season just was talking about how right now it's like, I was just thinking like it's easier for an introvert probably to stay inside and just kind of hole up and do their own thing. And me, as being more of an introvert, I was kind of okay with the quarantine personally. I still had my very small group of friends, and I was able to do art and read, and I think I just wanted to tell or like encourage other people who maybe were having a hard time with self-isolation, just to say that like there's things that you can do, and being alone inside isn't always the worst. And yeah, that brings me to the end of my slides. And yeah, I guess if you guys have any questions, I would be very happy to answer them. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. And yeah.
Thank you very much. It was great. Thank you very much, Abby. So actually, I do have here a question already. So first of all, someone's saying that your work is great and that they're very proud to be walking in Vancouver and seeing your art. And also someone's asking, what's the connection between traveling and art? You always seem to be moving and drawing. Is there a connection behind it?
Well, for me, that's a great question. I always have my sketchbook with me. I've begun to realize that a small sketchbook is my favorite because I can just put it in my bag wherever I go and just make drawings on location. Or yeah. So I guess that's the connection for me. I am also interested in space, so maybe just where I am definitely contributes to my art and just wherever I am.
Thank you. So next question, what artists or artists have inspired you?
That's a good question. Well, two of my favorite artists are definitely Ricardo Cavolo. He has such a bold style and he makes these very colorful murals and just very awesome symbols. And his work just like inspires my mood, I would say. And then I also love this one illustrator, Jillian Tamaki. She just has the most beautiful strokes with her pen, and I would love to be able to draw like her one day. Yeah.
Thank you, Abby. So next question, it's okay. So of all your art, which piece that you have done is the one that you are the most proud of, and why? And also, I think I have another question from the same person. Is, does the snake have any symbolic meaning to you?
Okay. I'll answer the first question first, I guess. That is a tricky one. I think though the first one that pops into mind is the demon one that I showed you guys earlier. This one was pretty like important for me because it was part of a school project that it was open, and I felt very like tight on a pressure to like make this one project. But then one morning I just came to class and like had this completely other idea, which is the one I made now. And it was already like halfway through the project. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to switch it, but I just kind of went with my gut for this one. And I think it turned out amazing. Yeah, I don't know why. I guess I just love the composition and I think they look funny. And then about the snake, I feel like I know who asked this, but for me the snake is a symbol for fear, and I'll show you guys. It is cut in half, so it's just kind of like cutting your fears in half. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So I have another question, which is, so first of all, beautiful work, Abby, and how do you find work as an artist during this time?
Yeah, it can be tricky. For me, like the biggest art gigs that I've landed upon have been very coincidental. Like, as Bruno said, he was just walking by my mural and liked it. And then my friend Breeze just called me and asked if I wanted to do a mural. So it seems like when I try to go and apply for different things, I never get it, but somehow the universe helps me out in ways I don't even know. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for the question and the answer. Now I have another question. So, do the lines on the Man of Introvert season have any meaning?
Yeah, so the lines for me symbolize going inwards. Um, some people said maybe it looks like ripples of fear, but that's really not what I was trying to do.
Great.
Yeah.
So next question. So do you sell your art currently or your clothing? And if so, and you can say where?
Right. So I'm working on a website right now. I've been in the process of coding it, but yeah, I do sell my work. Right now, the clothes aren't for sale just because they're sort of like prototypes for future stuff. But yeah, I am open to selling my work. Usually through Instagram, people contact me and we can set up some deals. But yeah, I would like to have my stuff posted on my website soon.
Oh, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
So now next question. So this is absolutely an introvert season. Do you find yourself now more extrovert during this talk? Have you been approached for more people, or you still want to be an introvert throughout?
Um, that's a good question. Yeah, like I'm hoping that this talk will have helped me become more extroverted. Um, I love people. Like, so when I say that I'm an introvert, it's kind of comes from like my nature, but whenever I'm with people, I'm always very happy. So it's it's a toss up. I think I'm probably a bit of both.
Thank you very much. So next question, I also, in terms of your work, is if someone can commission you to do a painting or a piece, if it's also people can contact or reach you through your social media or through your email as well.
So is the question, can
If,
they?
yeah,
Or
if someone can commission you to do a painting or a piece.
yeah, that would be awesome. I'm open to that.
Okay. And so next question, where after all of this goes away, when is your next travel going to take you? Do you have any thoughts about that?
I like that question. Um, well, you know what? I feel like I've done a lot of world traveling. I also spent some time in Thailand and Japan. Um, and whenever I get back, I'm always just very in love with British Columbia. So I think as far as the near future, I just want to explore BC some more. I love the island and I want to go up north a bit on BC. But I think definitely like I'd love to go to Brazil one day. Um, that's a place that sounds interesting. And Egypt. I think Egypt would be cool.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if anyone has any further questions. I'm just going to leave 2 or 3 minutes extra, and probably I will start by thanking each and every one of you again, all the 23 people joining us for this art talk. I believe I also thank in Abby's name that at the end will of course say something about it as well. But for us at the Dr. Sen Yat-Sen Classical Chinese Garden, and as someone who loves art and feels like art is connecting us all in one way, I just want to appreciate everyone and wish you all a great weekend as well, wherever you are. And next week, we're going to have another art talk, probably on Monday or Tuesday. We will be posting something about it, and make sure to keep following the garden and follow Abby as well. As you've seen, she is an amazing artist. And Abby, thank you very, very, very much again for accepting our invitation.
Thank you so much, Bruno, for hosting this. I think the organization you have is so amazing. And thank you everyone who watched. I appreciate it so much. And yeah, I hope you guys are all doing good during these bizarre times.
Yeah. So thank you all. I believe there are no further questions. Again, if there's any other question that comes to mind, make sure you have my email. I will make sure I forward it to Abby as well. At the end of this talk, I usually send a thank you email to everyone who attended. I will make sure that I have Abby's email if she doesn't mind me sharing, and also Abby's social media. And you can contact her anytime as well. And have a great day. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Bye.